This conversation is powered by Google Illuminate. Check out illuminate.google.com for more. Ever wonder, why India, a country so vast, only has one time zone? It's a real geographical puzzle, and we're diving right in.
It's a fascinating question, and the answer involves mountains, oceans, and some surprisingly young geological formations.
Young mountains? I thought mountains were, like, ancient.
The Himalayas, for example, are relatively young, geologically speaking.
Wow, that's a mind-bender. Let's unpack this. So let's start with the Himalayas. What's their role in all this?
They're a natural barrier protecting India from cold northern winds, and they're also incredibly young, about 50 million years old.
50 million years? That's young for a mountain range.
Exactly. And they've risen to become the world's tallest. Below 22 degrees north latitude, India narrows, meeting the Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal.
Okay, so the geography sets the stage, but how does that relate to India's single time zone?
India's east-west distance seems shorter than its latitudinal extent because lines of longitude converge as you move away from the equator.
Right, like an orange wider in the middle, narrower at the top and bottom.
Precisely. Despite this, India uses only one time zone based on 82 degrees, 30 minutes east longitude.
But that means there's a significant time difference across the country, right?
Absolutely. About a 2-hour difference between Arunachal Pradesh in the east and Gujarat in the west.
2 hours, that's a big difference. What other geographical effects does this create?
The variation in daylight hours is dramatic as you move north. Near Kanyakumari, near the equator, day and night are almost equal year-round.
Makes sense. Closer to the equator, the sun's path is more consistent.
Exactly. But in Kashmir, much farther north, the difference between day and night length is huge depending on the season.
So summer in Kashmir means super long days, and winter means super long nights.
You got it. This creates India's diverse seasonal experiences.
Let's recap. The Himalayas are a natural barrier, relatively young and incredibly tall.
Right. And the Indian Ocean divides into the Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal.
Each degree of longitude represents a 4-minute time difference, leading to a 2-hour difference across India.
Despite this, India uses a single time zone based on 82 degrees, 30 minutes east.
And daylight hours remain consistent near the equator, but vary dramatically in the north. It's interesting that India chose to have just one time zone. Were there any debates about having multiple time zones?
There have been discussions, but the benefits of a single time zone for national unity and administration seem to outweigh the inconvenience of the time difference.
That's a fascinating political and logistical decision. How does this geographical diversity impact Indian culture and daily life?
It's a huge factor. The varied climates and daylight hours influence everything from agriculture and lifestyles to festivals and traditions.
It's amazing how much geography shapes a country's identity. The standard meridian of India passing through Mirzapur is a significant point. Why was that location chosen?
It's a central location relatively close to the geographical center of the country, making it a suitable reference point for the entire nation.
The difference in daylight hours between Kanyakumari and Kashmir is striking. How does this affect the seasons in these regions?
Kanyakumari experiences relatively consistent weather throughout the year, while Kashmir has very distinct seasons with long, hot summers and long, cold winters.
Are there any other significant geographical features in India that we should mention?
The vast coastal plains, the Deccan Plateau, and the Thar Desert are all important features that shape India's landscape and influence its climate and culture.
It's amazing how a seemingly simple concept like time zones can be so complex when you consider the vastness of a country like India.
Absolutely. It highlights the interplay between geography, politics, and daily life.
Understanding India's geography is key to understanding its culture and history.
Yeah, it's crucial for appreciating the diversity and complexity of the country.
This has been a fascinating discussion about India's geography and its single time zone. Thanks for sharing your expertise.
My pleasure.
That was a great discussion.